It's time to get after it. MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. This round is MotoAmerica Superbikes at Brainerd from here in Minnesota at the famed Brainerd International Raceway. Looking at video from yesterday's qualifying session from Junior Cup as we set the stage for race number 1. And I'm joined in the booth, Jason Pridmore. I'm Greg White. Hannah Local will be joining us in a moment. Jason, let's take a look at the first half of the season with Junior Cup because it's been exciting.
Well, it's really been the Avery Dreyer show. He's the guy that has stepped up to try to win this championship. We saw him do the double at Atlanta, as you see here. He was on the podium the first day, gets up on the podium the second day in the same exact spot. Then we rolled on to Barber. Another good race for Avery Dreyer as he goes on and takes the win there. However, on the second day, it was Levy Batty who was going to take his first victory in Junior Cup, and you can see it was by the slightest of margins that he did that. And then we rolled up to the famed Road America where Rossi Moore gets a win on that KTM. You can see how stoked he was to do that. His first victory in Junior Cup, so he brought a little bit of the fight as well.
So we haven't had Junior Cup on track in almost 2 months, but here they are at Brainerd, Jason, and this racetrack can generate some exciting racing.
Well, it can, Greg, and that's because of the drafting possibilities from that line you see before turn 1, all the way through turn 1, 2, 3, even down to 4. You're going to see jostling for position on these smaller motorbikes. Go through 4, 5, 6, then the technical areas, 8, 9, 10, 11. These bikes will be least affected by those switchbacks going through there. The new changes that they made at Brainerd. Down into turn 12, under the bridge for turn 13, and that run to the checkered flag.
Can't wait to see what this class has on deck for us here at Brainerd. 16 days ago, Hayden Bickney celebrated his 17th birthday. He has 3 podiums this season, now looking to celebrate his first win. Race 1 coming up.
This class here, Roger, is always a drafting battle extraordinaire. Through 1 and 2, we've seen them 5 wide going into 2, and then huge late braking moves down into turn 3. It's always entertaining. But for this guy, number 13, Jaden Fernandez, he is, in a way, almost a poster boy of the development or ladder system that you have in motorcycle racing.
Yeah, coming from the Ovale Cups, and so far it's been a breakout weekend. He's qualifying second, and it wasn't just qualifying whenever he was fast. So you go back to the first practice yesterday morning, he's 4th. Qualifier yesterday afternoon, he's up. It was wet, so he didn't go out in that. But again, this morning again was fast. So he's definitely showed that consistency during these sessions. And so far, it's been a breakout weekend. And I think for him, if he can get a good start and he hasn't ran with the leaders this year. If he can get a good start, just tag on and just learn from those guys who's been in the class for a couple years.
Yeah, that's absolutely crucial for him. You can see Rossi Moore, the lone KTM in the field, that bright orange bike on the pole. And Rossi has had a win this year. And but there you can see that it was Jaden that got a good start there. And obviously you're going to try and work on things every opportunity. But expect to see this kind of pack throughout the race when it happens.
Coming through 1 and 2, they're going to be in a huge pack punching a hole through there. I mean, it's wide. That right there for those guys, it looks like a corner, but on the Junior Cup bikes, it's basically a straightaway. They're going to be flat out through there.
And the other guy, don't count out the 48 of Max Van. He was battling for the win in the first race last year when Gus Rodeo got a little offline going into turn number 12 and cleared him out. Came back with a pretty dominant win for Junior Cup in race 2. It's all going to unfold right now here at BIR.
MotoAmerica Junior Cup coverage is brought to you by Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Back at Brainerd International Raceway. Motorcycles on track for the warm-up lap here in Junior Cup, which gives us an opportunity to take a look at that starting grid. It's Rossi Moore on pole, JP.
Next to him, Jaden Fernandez, and then Max Van, Avery Dreyer, Bickney, and DeMario rounding out road number 2. A little further back, Black, Levy Batty, Rivera, Elliott, Vandal, and Sneed. Then we got Chris Clark, Monk Nichols, James Cunnison, and Trenton Kesey. Isaac Woodward, JT Rivera, Jadea Cumberbatch, Ryan Barber, Alyssa Gendron, Jonathan Hollingsworth. And I know we got a few more, Greg. little bit further back, I think. So maybe that was it, huh? So yeah, that's the last three: Barber, Gendron.
Very interesting here. We have Jaden Fernandez on the front row. Of course, last year raced the North American Talent Cup, had a couple of podium appearances there, finished 6th in that championship. The 9th grader, the number 13, with a perfect 4.0 GPA. Wow. Looking for podium success here at Brainerd International Raceway. So we have a new rider that's arrived on the scene amongst our superstars in this class, and we'll see how the 13 is going to fare in and amongst this group. 11 laps for Junior Cup race number 1. When these lights go off, there it is, and we're off and rolling. And Max Van jumping directly into the draft.
Trying to get there behind Rossi Moore, but Fernandez got there before him, but Fernandez now going around the outside. Now watch for somebody who might be 4th, 5th, 6th back. To be able to draft these little bikes, you can actually do it and lead into turn 2, but it's going to be the 13. Jaden Fernandez is going to lead him into turn 2. Max Van, as you said, Greg, with a good start, he gets himself right into that 2nd spot.
So the 13 from the front row leads us early on as we go into our first heartbreaking corner. Look at the 13 go. Jaden Fernandez out of Erie, Colorado. All riders in this class with the exception of 2 on the Kawasaki Ninja 400. Aiden Sneed on a Yamaha R3, and of course Rossi Moore on that orange KTM RC390.
Jaden gets out just a little bit wide. You saw him have a little look to his left to see if anybody was going to go by him on the left. It would have been difficult for them to do that, but he keeps himself in that lead. Rossi Moore slots himself in 3rd, and then of course we got Avery Dreyer, who's had some great early season success, kind of proven to be the guy to beat early on. He's going to slot there into 4th. And Levy Batty as well, a race winner so far this year. As we said at the top of the show, Rossi Moore goes up underneath Max Van through that big long carousel turn, makes that pass stick, and just behind Levy Batty does the exact same thing to Dreyer. So both Rossi Moore and Batty, they move up in a very technical spot of the racetrack.
Here goes Moore trying to make up some ground. I thought for a moment that Moore on the 34.
He thought about it, didn't he? And we got a crash in the background. Saw a rider go off, Greg. We're going to get a number on that, who that might have been. Looks like there might be 2 bikes. So keep an eye on the 2 riders have gone down.
Is that the 83 of Rivera on the AIR owns Motor Racing team? So for Rivera down. Our 9th place qualifier. Back up front we go to the 13. And it's Jaden Fernandez coming out party here in Brainerd, Minnesota. As another look at on the left part of your screen, Jay.
Let's have a look and see. Oh, wow. Got him way, not even close. Way too deep there. Yeah, that's too bad.
Yeah, and that second rider, I think.
Oh, man.
That was a big hit. Moore trying to go up the inside once more on Fernandez.
These 2 starting to make a little bit of a breakaway, trying to make a little bit of a breakaway at least. You can see just behind them, looks like Max Van. Yeah, Max Van's in 3rd. And then Bickness has got himself up there as well. So Bickness is into that 4th spot with Dreyer just behind them now. But these 2 guys are trying to get away a little bit at the front, but kind of expecting, Max Van has been keeping everything really clean this year. He's 2nd in the points. He's the guy kind of picked to win the championship, especially knowing that he's kind of the veteran of the class now. We've seen him win races, seen him lead the championship in the past, and he's right there in 3rd place at the moment. As it looks like Rossi Moore makes a pass out of the chicane. So the KTM showing its strengths, Greg. A little bit of acceleration out of there.
Cleaning up those bikes. So the 34 Rossi Moore out front on the KTM. Hannah Lopa, what do you think?
Well, as Rossi makes that move around Jaden Fernandez, both of those riders have come from the Mini Cup by Motul that, is kind of the prequel to the Junior Cup here. So really cool to see that program really help develop these riders' skills and prepare them to battle out front for this Junior Cup. But talking to Rossi Moore, it's his first time here. He came here Monday for a little test ahead of time. And I said, how are you able to learn the track so easily? And he said, I've raced about 70 tracks around the world, so it's not too hard memorization-wise, as Jaden Fernandez has made the move to take the lead back once again. He's still got eyes on the championship, though, does Rossi Moore. He's 66 points adrift, but he feels like he's not out of it just yet.
And an aggressive move up the inside under braking conditions to retake that lead. Max Van with the fastest lap of the race, a 44.361, trying to chase these 2 down. Of course, the SportBikeTrackGear.com rider of Max Van.
You almost get the feeling like Rossi wants to lead, you know, full lap through the infield like this and try to see if he can get away and maybe break Jayden Fernandez. But Jayden looks really strong, and obviously was really strong in through turn 1. You saw he was able to draft that KTM and then pull up along the outside of Rossi Moore. But Rossi's doing everything he can right now to try to create a little bit of space. Here was when they came down into turn 3. Rossi Moore gets down the inside and makes a nice clean pass. And you can see Greg right now, he's starting to pull away ever so slightly. So his game plan, he obviously feels like he's got some real pace, does the 34, and that KTM accelerates out of that tight chicane better than the bikes behind him for sure. You can definitely see he gains a lot of time there, and he protects that inside, thinking he's going to try to make it to where nobody can come down the inside of him, but he doesn't have anything to worry about. He's got about a half-second lead or more already in this lap.
Yeah, what he needs is Levy Batty to be able to close. What Jayden Fernandez needs is Levy Batty to close up on him and this entire group, and then they can start drafting and passing and maybe make some inroads on Moore, who goes 143.7.
Wow. Yeah, Max Van got a little bit sloppy on the exit there, got out over the curbing, and that allowed Dreyer to go up underneath him. And then you can see Bickney's trying to take advantage of it, and he does as well. So these guys are all going to try to work together a little bit, because if this keeps going the way it is, Rossi pulls out almost a second from turn 3 to the start-finish line. But you can see Fernandez has closed that gap back down as Bickney goes underneath Dreyer to take over that 4th place spot.
So it's closed back up top. Good job by Fernandez to use the part of the track that he enjoys the most. All right, so you have 34 is Moore, 13 is Fernandez, 71, a nice tight shot. That's Levy Batty. And then you have 69 is Hayden Bickney's, 99 is Avery Dreyer, and then Max Van hanging back there on the 48. So Moore, Jay, uses just a lot of movement on the racetrack, doesn't he?
He's trying to break the draft. I think he's just trying to protect lines a little bit and break the draft a little bit. The fact that he had basically a second lead when they came across the line and they were able to draft back up to him, this is where he does all his damage. So this is an important part of the track to do the damage in, too. You can see he pulls away quite a bit through that big, long carousel, but more importantly on the acceleration out of that little tight chicane, the KTM kind of jumps out of there. And it's really important, especially if it's the last lap, that he's able to pull that big of a gap at this particular part of the racetrack, because it's not going to allow anybody to get up underneath him before the start finish.
Levy Batty with just a little bit of a miscue as he was trying to see if Fernandez had any weaknesses on the inside of the racetrack, but Fernandez holding a much wider, swoopy line.
There's Dreyer trying to go around the outside. Levy Batty's not able to do it, and this is where these four need to start, or these other 3 guys need to start drawing back up to the back of Rossi Moore. And you can see by him going tight, those guys letting the bike run a little bit, even though he's got that thing wide open, they're able to get closed back up to the back of the 34. And then now we've definitely seen a gap developing there between the 4th, 5th, and 6th place riders, as the top 4 guys are trying to get away a little bit from Bickney and Max Van.
Fernandez looking awfully good at the moment, but he might need a little bit of help in that final sector. It's really sector 4 to the end of sector 1 where Rossi Moore really gets out a nice comfortable lead. So it's the first 2 sectors as Moore has a look back to see who's in the mix, as now these top 4 are starting to pull away from the other 2 behind them.
Yeah, they're just starting to edge away, aren't they? And it's you know, these 3 guys here, they're going to have to really get into uniform here to run Rossi Moore down, because every time they go through this section, again, Greg, it was 0.8 of a second the last time by. They close that gap all the way to the carousel, and then he just opens it right back up again as he gets down into this last part of the track.
It looked like Fernandez has to grab a gear. As Levy Batty, he's been eyeing that for a moment. Is he going to have the line as Fernandez? Oh, they touch, and Fernandez nearly loses the front.
Yeah,
and Fernandez almost loses the rear in saving it.
It's good to be aggressive. I don't mind that, but the problem is it's letting that guy now get farther and farther away, as it's 1.6 second lead now. So Batty gets into turn 11 there a little fast, gets in there a little bit wide, and you could see that Jayden Fernandez tried to turn it back up underneath him, and you see there Batty gets in, gets a little wide. Now he's going to try to go stuffing it back up underneath Fernandez, and that's, you know, it's just good hard racing, and I get it. The problem is that the gap that gets created by that to the leader. That's the hard part there. So we're going to see how much of this 1.6 they can close back down.
If at all.
Yeah.
Rossi Moore goes 1:43.4 for the fastest lap of the race as Levy Batty and Avery Dreyer start to rough each other up. And those passes need to be clean so they can keep their momentum up so they're not giving away more to Rossi Moore.
Yeah, but now he's really gone, Greg. As you can see, there's going to be a gap there.
5.5 laps to go in Junior Cup race number 1, and Rossi Moore with a comfortable lead as the rest of this field trying to figure out if they can close the gap with the remaining laps. Rossi Moore continuing to lead this race. We also know that the 71 bike of Levy Batty must give up 2 positions for passing under a yellow flag. So he's going to get some information that lets him know that. And I'm not sure that he's really done that yet, Jason Pridmore.
Yeah, and I didn't see the yellow flag, so I'm not as sure of where that happened. But you can see here, Dreyer's going to go up underneath him, and it'll be a matter of when can he get that. As it looks like he kind of let Fernandez through as well.
Yeah, so it looks like the 2 positions have been given up for the 71 lead. Oh,
Dreyer.
No, Dreyer.
Point leader is down in turn 3, and that's going to be a big one there because Max Van had clawed his way back up to the back of these guys, as had Bickney's. So your championship leader is down. Rossi Moore now at a 2.8 second lead is gone and on his way.
So Rossi Moore with 66 points back from Avery Dreyer. If Dreyer can't get that motorcycle up and rolling again and get in the top 15 to score some points, he's going to claw back 25. Another look at it, Jay.
This is just trail breaking into turn 3. You see he goes over that seam, didn't he? He went over that seam, Greg, and that front end just started to move around a little bit, and it ends up tucking up underneath him. Rossi Moore took a look over his shoulder as he came out of turn 6 and saw that he has now got a pretty big lengthy gap over those guys a little further back, and you can see here is the gap. Now for Max Van, this is a huge opportunity for him to try to get as many points as he can, knowing what was the point total that he was behind, Greg, coming
26 points
26 back. Okay.
So if he can't catch Rossi Moore, his urgency right now for Max Van, the number 48, is to try to get into second place, because if that's the case, it would go to 6 points, the difference between Dreyer and Max Van.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. And at this point, any points back that Max can get are huge. But if he's able to get through on these 3 guys, and right now he's going to get a triple bike draft as they go through turn 1 into turn 2. And boy, that 20 points is going to be big if he can somehow figure out a way to claw his way to the front of this little group here.
But this is what we've seen from Max Van. Like this late in the race, we have seen Max Van hang out in this similar position and then make moves with 1 or even 2 laps to go.
Look at the draft.
Yeah, so Van, the 48, he goes by, gets a position. Levy Batty trying to claw his way back up through after he gave away 2 positions. At least that's what it looked like to us.
If you see what happened there, though, he ended up having to run in just a little bit tight, lost a little bit of ground, so Max is going to have to try to close that gap back up again. It's going to give him a lot of confidence knowing that he can be so far behind after coming across start finish line. He can draft up to the back of these guys between turns 1 and 2.
And Jason, out of this lead group, Max Van is the only rider in this group that raced here last year. So he said he has a good idea of what to expect as the race kind of unfolds here, whereas the others don't. And he feels that could definitely give him the advantage. He also won here last year, so he's definitely carrying some confidence from that. When I asked him, how are you feeling coming out of such a long break? He only got to ride a motorcycle once in this time. And he said, it feels so good to be back at the track and remember how to ride a motorcycle, because that's what I love and know how to do.
Yeah, big difference in the schedule, Jason, from Junior Cup and the iterations it's been in MotoAmerica, because now each of the classes that's here, when they come race, they get 2 races. As Levy Batty not going to do it this time.
Yeah.
It's really one of the few spots that we see Fernandez, who's in second spot, as we'll continue to watch this battle for the last 2 podium positions. The only place he's really vulnerable is that spot.
Protect that, come 2 laps from now. He's already seen Levy Batty go up underneath him there one time, and the thing that's hard there is Levy's cutting off the inside of that turn so much, you start to see the front of that bike start to really hop, and that lets you know that that bike is at its maximum braking capacity, and he's trying to tip it in. And so for Jayden Fernandez, he's going to have to try to protect that, as it looks like. Not Max Van. I thought he was going to try to make a move on Batty. He wasn't quite all the way there. But now we got about 2.5 laps to go, and these guys now have to start to figure out, what are we going to do towards the end of the race. I really do feel like Levy Batty had some pace. We never really got to see him get to the front of this group to see if he could pull that pace along. And now at 4.8 seconds behind Rossi Moore is this lead group. So the best he can really hope for is second spot at this point.
And although Max Van is there, this section of the track, he loses a couple of bike lengths, and I don't know if he's got an answer right now.
But you know where that starts? It starts in turn 3, because he drafts up alongside, but he's not quite capable of getting underneath him. As Batty's going to go up underneath Fernandez, or try to. He does. Makes the pass through that big long carousel. We saw him do that earlier. So let's see if Levy Batty could put his head down and try to stretch this gap out. I don't think he'll be able to. I think the Jayden's pretty strong through turns 1 and 2. There's Rossi Moore just going out of our screen.
Yeah, that's what a 5-second gap looks like in this series of corners here at Brainerd International Raceway. And all eyes on Max Van, second in the championship. But, you know, Jay, the early exit of your championship points leader has really caused some eyebrows to go up, because Hayden Bickney's, the 69, is back there in 5th spot and really not in sight of this battle, or right there, sorry, in the battle. And so Bickney's also can take advantage of the early exit. There's the 69 right there. So those two, who are second and third in this championship, looking to do something, as Fernandez just trying to make his mark in his coming out party here in Junior Cup.
Yeah, and he's going to repay the favor and get back through on Levy Batty. So Fernandez not quitting without a fight here, and that's what you'd expect from these guys in this class. And again, Max Van had a nice draft in between 2 and 3, but really didn't have anywhere to go to keep that momentum rolling forward.
Rossi Moore looking great on that Farium NGRT Gray Area Racing RC390. That KTM really starting to figure this out for Rossi Moore. Leaving the rest of this field on the Kawasaki Ninja 400 scratching their head.
Yeah, he loses a lot of time, like you say there. Max loses a little bit of time there in turn 6, doesn't he? It's like he doesn't have the confidence to just turn the bike in that particular corner. So let's see if Levy Batty does the same thing again. He does.
Whoa, the corner speed for Levy Batty, incredible. Now he's going to grab that. You know, it's been interesting, because I've seen him grab a shift in the middle of that corner sometimes, and sometimes he doesn't. So I wonder if he found something there, because I know the 13 has to, and that's where the 13 was losing all kinds of time earlier in the race to Rossi Moore.
Yep, and this is the guy right now. He's going to see the white flag when he comes out of this right-hand corner. He's got his head down, gets that thing shifted. Now he's going to see the white flag. This could be the last lap, and you can look for this next group of 4 to come through, and Levy Batty has broken him ever so slightly, but watch how quickly this closes up, Greg. And the guy right now in the best seat for this is Bickney's. He should be able to get a double bike draft off the 2 in front of him and hopefully move himself forward. As you see, Max Van has gone by Jayden Fernandez. Now he's trying to fight and get in the draft of Levy Batty as they head down towards turn 3. Max Van's going to go to the right. He's going to have enough momentum to go past the 71, and he does. Levy Batty trying to turn back up underneath him, but here comes Bickney's.
Wow, so just like that, positions change from second to third for Max Van. Bickney's in the mix as well. And this has championship ramifications here, as every point matters, as Levy Batty trying to go up the inside. They're side by side. Whoa, that was a close one.
Yeah, and it's brought Max Van right back in it. There's Bickney's and Max just bumping fairings and elbows a little bit. The guy who's lost out here is Fernandez, who's just done such a good job of keeping himself in those podium positions the whole race long. He finds himself back in 5th now.
So Levy Batty looks like he's got tons of speed, and he definitely is able to lead this group. But how's it going to be as we go on? We're on our final lap. There's only about half of this course to go. All the while, Rossi Moore is 6 seconds ahead of him. As Rossi Moore is gone, there's only 2 corners left after this for anyone here to make a big move. Can they get up close to Levy Batty and rough him up?
Last corner, though.
He's
Batty's
really good
here.
All right, so here's one corner where someone can make a move under braking. Levy Batty very good there. Bickney's going to have to sit there, and here comes Rossi Moore. Rossi Moore takes race 1 Junior Cup win here at Brainerd, and that final run, batting way wide over the curbing, but he's able to hold on to it, and it's going to be Big Knees, Max Van, and then Fernandez in 5th spot. What a run. Can't wait to see what this championship's going to look like. But Rossi Moore with a 7-second victory in Junior Cup and the fastest lap of the race on lap 5, a 1:43.468. And Jason, that is quicker than Rossi Moore was able to go in qualifying. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to our race winner, Rossi Moore, to find out how he got the job done.
All right, Rossi Moore celebrating a downright dominant win for this category. Just the margin of victory, just over 7 seconds. He just got out front, and he did what is difficult to do, particularly at this track in this class, Roger. He broke them.
Yeah, I mean, really hard. You don't really see that very often, but I mean, he's just a smart racer.
Yeah.
He knows if he's leading out of turn 3 from 4 to the start-finish line is where his opportunity is to break the pack, and you could just see every single lap just trying it. And you know what's impressive as well, and we've seen this at Road America as well. He kind of did the same thing. When it doesn't work, he just keeps doing it, doing it, and he doesn't give up on, you know, his whatever his race plan is, trying to get away. And today he was able to break that pack just like he did the last lap at Road America.
Well, and he was really good, as you pointed out, from 4 to 8, but where he just would explode was the exit at 9 through the chicane and out. He would gap them so big there and made it pay off. Levi Body, man, I'll tell you, he was an absolute demon on the brakes and made some great moves out there to add another podium to his resume. And, you know, Hayden McNeese, it was a quiet race for him, but at the right time, he just split a couple of guys there and went right between Max Van and Jaden Fernandez and put himself up on the podium.
Yeah, it just seems like he had that experience. And now we're going to see, I believe the results are going to change because Levi Batty, I don't think, dropped those 2 positions for passing under a waving yellow, and that's going to move Max Van onto the podium. That's unfortunate for Levi Batty. But, you know, they have the signs and the boards out there, and you got to look, you know, it's unfortunate, but you have to see that stuff. And, you know, back to Hayden Big Knees, just put himself in the perfect spot on that last lap. And, you know, just having some experience of playing the draft, he played it well.
Well, I think for Levi Batty, what happened there was he gave the 2 positions back, but after the incident and before he gave him back, remember, he passed Avery Dreyer. And so when he gave the 2 back, it was actually 1, essentially. And that's probably what the official said. Now, that didn't fulfill it. So I'm sure we'll get some more information on that. So it's Rossi Moore, Hayden McNeese, and Max Van on the podium. And that is good for Max. He has been always really quick here. Just didn't seem to quite have the pace of Moore, Batty, and Fernandez here. But he's always there, isn't he?
Yeah, always there, always in that pack. But just, you know, he looks like he put himself in that right spot on the last lap. But those 2 guys were able to sneak back the inside of him. And, you know, I just want to give Jaden Fernandez what a ride.
Oh.
You know, first time and, you know, leading this pack and looked really comfortable. You know, sometimes when you see a kid first time in the, you know, the lead pack, they look a little over their head. You know, like they're just pushing a little over the limit. And Jaden looked like he was comfortable, really smooth, and, you know, what a great learning experience for him in that race, running with those guys that are all race winners.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's, you know, you want to test yourself against the best. And that's going to be really confidence inspiring for him because it was like, I can do this. I can run with these guys.
Yeah, exactly. And then now, you know, tomorrow he's going to put himself probably in a different spot on that last lap. He's going to learn what it was like. You know, there's only way to really figure it out is when you're in those spots, in those positions. And, you know, being a young guy, that was his first time in this pack, battling from 2nd to 5th.
Yeah. And what can the rest of the pack do now to try and figure out what to do with Rossi Moore?
I would say do not let him get in the lead going into turn 4. You know, and if he does, just keep, just kind of keep him back as long as possible and don't let him break that draft.
Yeah, try and stay with him and be a little aggressive on some pass. There were a couple of times where I thought Max Van, as he was working through 2 and 3, could have made a pass work, but I think he felt it was a little close. He didn't want to risk anything and eased out of it, but he could have maybe done something there too. But you know what? That's just from what our viewpoint was. We'll see what happens here. But again, Hayden Bickness, a nice ride up into second. So that's time for us to get back, and we're going to hear from our podium.
MotoAmerica Junior Cup coverage is brought to you by Geico Motorcycle. Visit geico.com to see how easy covering your ride can be. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
This is the pass under the waving yellow flag for Levi Batty, the 71. And you can see the flag right there on the right part of your screen. And unfortunately, will be relegated from second to fourth place because of that. So the results have Rossi Moore, Hayden Bickness, and Max Van 1, 2, 3. Levi Batty to fourth, and Jaden Fernandez. Well, that'll do it for us from Brainerd. We look forward to race number 2 when these riders get back on track.